Hey guys, welcome to the review and results show for the January 25th, 2023 edition of AEW Dynamite. My name's Dan and I review each and every AEW show. That's everything from Dark Elevation to all their pay-per-views. So if you missed this show and you want a quick recap, or you watch this show and you want a place to talk all things AEW, you can do so right here. So please go right below this video, click that like button, the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell, because always that let you see future reviews that I do, but also helps others to find my channel. And without any further ado, let's get to the review. Dynamite kicked off with the JAS, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara going up against Ricky Starks and Action Andretti. This match had a fantastic opening sequence where Sammy and Andretti were basically trying to one-up each other, and given how well they work together and how similar their styles are, I'd love to see a match between these two somewhere along the line. Then a little later on, you had Ricky doing his walking across the ropes little strut that he does, and then Sammy out of nowhere does a top rope cutter. And given that around this time last year he had his match with Cody, and you had to figure that something like this was coming, and what else you kind of figured was coming was the JAS's number advantage, as Daniel Garcia does get involved here, hits Action Andretti in the face with a bat, allowing Sammy Guevara to pick up the win with a GTH with a very, very good opener. After that, we got a beautiful video package celebrating the life of Jay Briscoe, showing a lot of what he did in the ring, but also what he did out of the ring with how much of a family man he was. It was just simply fantastic. Got a wonderful ovation from the crowd, as it should. AEW kind of set the bar with tribute shows as far as what they did with Brody Lee. This wasn't that, but this was still pretty good, but we got more to come later in the show. Up next, it was the TNT Championship with Darby Allin defending his title against the House of Black's Buddy Matthews, and if we thought Darby was going to be holding back or going to be slowing down anytime soon, that certainly was not the case with this match, as it was absolutely fantastic. I even love the fact that they showed video of his match with the Great Muta when he was over in Pro Wrestling Noah, basically showing how much he's been doing lately, how much he's been putting his body through. They talked a bit about the travel, about a bit of the jet lag that Darby's been through. And then a little later on, we saw the House of Black possibly getting involved here, but Ortiz says no to that as he continues his feud with the House of Black. Sting gets involved as well, basically canceling out everybody here. And this match was just so physical, so much fun. But Darby Allin ends up picking up the win with a coffin drop through the ropes. And then after the match, we see Toni coming down to the ring, talking to Darby about his recent streak of matches. And then on the Tron, we see Samoa Joe make his return, basically saying that him winning the title from him was the greatest mistake Darby could make, and given with the recent streak Darby's been on, and with how much they pointed that out on commentary, kind of makes me think that Darby's going to drop the title right back to Joe. Then we had another Adam Cole video package where he was talking about how hard he's been working, how close he is to getting back in the ring. He's not sure when he's going to come back, but he's going to be coming back soon. I like this a lot, not only because I'm a huge Adam Cole fan, but this also keeps him fresh in the mind of the fans for when he does actually make his comeback. After that, it was JungleHook going up against Ethan Page and Matt Hardy, and if you don't watch Dark Elevation, you're missing out, as there's a lot more pre-match shenanigans with those. It's always a lot of fun. Here, it was a little bit of a taste, as Daddy Magic would say, as Ethan Page talks about how they should be playing his music because they both agreed that he's the star and Matt Hardy and him are best friends. You have him and Stokely taking shots at Isaiah. Good stuff. Great way to continue this little mini feud. And you had during the match, Matt and Ethan were working very well together, showing how great of friends that they've become. But it only breaks down once Ethan's ego gets in the way of things. Him trying to mimic Matt Hardy, and every time he did, kind of blew up in his face. And it certainly blew up in his face at the very end, where he wanted to get the tag, do the Twist of Fate, and win like he usually does on Dark Elevation. But here, it ends up screwing him over as Jungle Boy gets him in the snare trap, and he taps out for the win. A bit of jawing between both Matt and Ethan after the match, wondering how close we're getting to that eventual breakup. Next, we had the Family Therapy segment with the Acclaimed Billy Gunn and the Gun Club, and this was basically a refresher for everybody, for those who didn't know what was going on between these teams prior to what happened last week so they can basically restart their feud. This time it is going to be for the titles. I don't know how long this is going to be going for, given how much they said has already happened between the two of them, but it should be interesting to see if this gets pushed towards Revolution or not. After that, we see Renee Paquette backstage standing with Adam Page, and she sort of wanted to restart that interview that they had last week, because Adam basically said that he doesn't know what's next for him, and he talked here about having a match with Jon Moxley next week in Ohio, where he plans on knocking him out once again, which got a very funny look from Renee, you know, because given the fact that they are married. And then in steps Blackpool Combat Club's Wheeler Yuta to challenge him to a match this Friday on Rampage. That should be a lot of fun when it happens. Then it was Bryan Danielson going up against Brian Cage, and this was another very physical match on the show, as we expected, especially since MJF paid off Brian Cage to break Danielson's arm. And I gotta say, it's been amazing to see the streak of matches that these two have been on. We saw the amazing matches that Brian Cage had with Willie Mack, the amazing streak that Bryan Danielson's been on to start the year to sort of prepare things against MJF, and this was certainly no exception here. And it was very hard-hitting, with Danielson picking up the win with a roll-up, kind of protecting Brian Cage. I like that. In the loss afterwards, Cage wasn't happy, as he shouldn't be, and he ended up beating him down. You had MJF coming out, sort of directing traffic, really working over that arm. But we have Konosuke Takeshita coming out for the save here. Then back after commercial break, Bryan says that he's wrestled a 60-minute Iron Man match with a separated shoulder, that no one is going to stop him from wrestling, but more on that in a bit. Up next is Toni Storm versus Ruby Soho, and this was another fun one with lots of forearm slaps and kicks. The crowd was firmly behind Ruby, as well they should be, because Ruby is great. I also love the change in Toni's demeanor with how smug she was looking coming down to the ring, and all the underhand attacks that she used during the match with the thumb to the eye and faking of the injury to get the advantage. Really seemed like she's been doing this for years with how great it was. But then, sort of out of nowhere, we hear Britt's entrance, and she comes out, distracts Toni long enough for Ruby to hit Destination Unknown for the win here. This is very surprising. We're not really sure if this is going to be a babyface turn for Britt, or maybe this is all just a ruse. Very interesting development, because this story has been absolutely fantastic so far. We then had a backstage segment with MJF continuing things with him and Bryan Danielson. He built up and tore down Takeshita and Bryan Danielson as only MJF can. He even brought up William Regal at one point in a very funny way, but those weren't the most newsworthy things here. He talked to Tony Khan, and Tony Khan said that there was an open contract for whoever wanted to face Bryan Danielson, and MJF revealed that it's none other than Timothy Thatcher. If you thought Bryan Danielson was having bangers, those matches aren't even going to hold a candle to what this is going to be. I also love the fact that they showed a little video package of what exactly Timothy Thatcher can do, who he is. Very nice to see for those who don't know who he is. This match should be a ton, and I do mean a ton of fun. After that, not only do we find out the rest of the matches being made for both Rampage and Dynamite next week, we get to be graced with the presence of the AEW Women's Champion, Jamie Hayter, really putting over her opponent this Friday, Emi Sakura. I always am very happy to see Jamie on my screen, keeping the Women's Championship relevant as only she can. Rampage is looking stacked. Lastly, it was the main event of the show, where we finally got to see Mark Briscoe make his debut on AEW television against Jay Lethal. And it was also nice to see Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman joining Excalibur on commentary. I cannot think of two better guys to call this match, considering the knowledge he has of not only Jay Lethal, but the entire Briscoe family. And the emotions started off very early for me. We saw Jay Lethal come out with Sanjay, with both of them sporting the Jay Briscoe t-shirt. They embraced, and Sanjay headed to the back as he looked like he was getting emotional. Because of that, I was getting emotional. I'm a bit of a sympathy crier when it comes to those sort of things. When I see someone else cry, and if I have any sort of connection to it, I'm probably going to start crying, and I definitely teared up a bit here. But where I really teared up, and what I really wasn't ready for, was Mark Briscoe's entrance. The crowd went absolutely nuts for him. and the beautiful commentary that Ian said here over it was just beautiful. It was so wonderful. You also had Bobby Cruz in there doing the ring announcing, wearing a Briscoe shirt, the handshake before the match. Oh man, just so full of emotions, because Jay Lethal looked like he was about to tear up, and because of what I said before, I teared up a little bit. Paul Turner was even the ref. We know he was in ROH for the longest time, ref a whole ton of their matches. You had Mark hitting the Froggy Bow onto Jay Lethal through a table, and then of course, what other way are you really going to end this than Mark Briscoe hitting the Jay Driller onto Jay Lethal for the win. After the match, the entire locker room came out to show their respect. Everything about this was perfect. It's basically the Homelander meme, right? It's just a very minute detail. The match was perfect. I know it was under the circumstances that it was, but it was great seeing Mark Briscoe on Dynamite, and hopefully it is the last time we see him. And that was AEW Dynamite. What did you guys think about it? Please let me know down in the comment section below. This was another fantastic Dynamite, but really this was a night to celebrate Jay Briscoe. Rest in peace, Jay. You will be missed by everybody, and I do mean everybody within the wrestling industry. So if you enjoyed this and you want to see more reviews from me, please click that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, because those that let you see future reviews that I do, but also helps others to find my channel. So thank you guys again for checking this video out. Thank you again, Jay Briscoe, for all you've done for wrestling, and thank you guys for being all elite.